Okay, welcome everybody to day 3 of the 3-day challenge that's here to help you align, design and accelerate your life. So we've spent day 1 and day 2 talking about align and design, and before we get into accelerating your best life and what it actually means to live a life that's on purpose, because I know we hear so much about this, online in the media. But today I'm going to bust a couple of myths in the personal development world. I'm going to make it really, really straightforward, a really simple checklist. But before we get into that, especially because some of you might just be watching this replay and maybe haven't seen the other videos, I'm just going to do a really quick recap. Now, at this point, if you are on live and if you do have any questions about anything that's happened this week, then please just jump into the chat box and post your questions up, because my intention is to give you as much information as I possibly can across these 3 days. So by all means, if you've got a question, if there's anything that you're still a little unsure of, by all means, post it up. So if you have done the challenges by now, I'm really hoping that you've had some significant insights as to, perhaps what's going on and where you're blocked. Now, the parts that you've been able to, when it comes to this information, by now, I'm imagining that for you, like, there's been a lot of light bulb moments. I'm imagining that there's been a huge amount of light bulb moments. And I think that, is that the case for, Kathy, actually, you're the only one that I can see the video of. Everyone's turned their video off. But if that is the case, then I truly believe that when we're so used to hearing stuff that doesn't quite feel right, or maybe it makes us super excited, but then that disappears. I think when you hear something that is truth, it resonates with a part of you that you can't quite put it into words. But when you hear truth, you just know, like, every cell in your being just goes, yes, this feels right for me. And so I'm sure at this point, a lot of you are in that position where you're going, yeah, this what she's saying actually feels right. I mean, I didn't invent this. I've just discovered it. That's all. Like this, these really, what I'm talking about here is universal laws. And if we all lived our life by them, things just naturally flow. The problem is that we've been taught and conditioned not to live our life by them, by people that didn't know any better. So don't go ringing up your parents and blaming them. Why did you put these beliefs in me? They were just doing the best with what they had, which was not really very much, not when you see the big picture and what's actually available to us. So beliefs and values, when you have beliefs that are in opposition to your goals, your dreams, your values, what is fulfilling to you, you are going to experience procrastination, self-doubt, overwhelm, self-sabotage, all of these things that are really, pretty common conditions. So just keep that in mind, like when our beliefs are in opposition. So day 1's challenge perhaps would have given you a big insight. If you were struggling to find belief systems that supported your goals and your dreams, yet you found like that you're writing off the page with beliefs that didn't support your goals and dreams, this should speak volumes as to why life is not working out for you right now. Like, this is a red flag. Don't just skip over that and go, like, that happens to everybody. No, it doesn't need to be that way. Really, as I mentioned before, it's like operating your iPhone off its original or your whatever phone. I just happen to have an iPhone sitting in front of me. But operating your smartphone right now off the original software when they very first came out in 2007, it simply wouldn't operate in today's world, because the world is moving so quickly. You're running software from when you're a kid. Your software is not, not only, even if you haven't done an update in the last 6 months, your phone will probably keep crashing. You're running software from when you're a kid. So don't expect that you're going to be able to operate in today's world and that everything will be smooth sailing. You require an upgrade, and it's not your fault. It's just something to be aware of. Like I said, we don't condemn our phone when our phone crashes. We just do something about it. Same for you. Don't beat yourself up. Just do something about it. That's all you need to do. Now, there's a couple of techniques. One of the main techniques that I use for balancing belief systems that have been there from when you're a kid is Psych K. I'm an advanced facilitator of that work. I love it when it comes to beliefs. Now, when it comes to beliefs that are there from significant life events like past traumas, there's all sorts of stuff that could be sitting in your past. I've dealt with everything from, clients that have come to me with, incest, sexual abuse, messy divorces. bankruptcy, like all this crazy stuff, that it leaves a dent, it really does leave a dent on you. And it's really challenging to move forward when so many of our belief systems are also formed from these big significant events. They need to be cleared in order for you to move forward. And I know that will go against what some, new age things out there say. They say, no, you don't need to delve into the past. You just need to be present and move forward. What is actually required? And, when it comes to doing energy work and things like that, and whatever it is that you're currently doing, keep doing that. Previously I was a Reiki, a Reiki master. Well, I still am. I think once you are one, you're one forever. But what I found is that even with energy work, and even with doing detoxes, you can discharge the emotion, and that is a great strategy. But to truly transcend it, cause and effect must, they must equal each other in space and time. So it means that your mind, in order for you to truly transcend it, needs to see an equal amount of benefits as well as drawbacks so that you can truly transcend it. That is when it no longer has any shackles over you. Like that is the only space that you can truly go, I transcend this. And I know when people are done, I'm going to share an email with you in the next couple of days about Tanya's story. And she was a client of mine that came to me, and she was sexually abused when she was 18 months old. We did the work on this, and oh my God, that was just such a phenomenal experience to be a part of. When she got to the end of it and she could see how that had served her and what a significant part in her actually discovering what her life's purpose was, she sat there and she said, I know that this sounds so crazy, and I certainly probably wouldn't say this, to the general public, but she said, I'm grateful that happened because it's made me who I am. Now, can you imagine what sort of power you have when it doesn't matter what's happened to you in the past, it no longer owns you? That just frees up so much space. You have no idea. So that's talking about beliefs, your values, but also stress, creating your future and trying to design your life when you're stressed is really challenging. So what's required is to go back and unravel that stress. Now, for those that are, and thank you to everyone that has started booking discovery calls, I'm really excited to meet with you. But if you want to know, if you really want to embody this, all of this work and everything that I've shared with you, it will take time. So please get on a call with me. This is your opportunity to have a chat. It's absolutely complimentary, and then we can find out if you're a good fit and if this is actually going to help you get where you want to go. I don't take people on unless I'm certain that I can help them. So if you get to the end of the call, and I do knock people back if I feel, because I don't want to lead you up a garden path. I want to make sure that you can get a big result. And by the way, I've not ever had to do that. But I'm authentic, and I want to be congruent with, my work. So I make sure that everyone is a good fit before they come on the program. Okay, so today we are talking about accelerating towards a future that you love. Okay, now this may not be what you think it's going to be. And of course, I'm going to share the checklist of what it takes to live on purpose. So taking action is such a small but important piece of the puzzle. Okay, because the action that you take must be from a place of alignment. It must be when your beliefs and your values and your goals are all congruent and lined up. And so how do we gauge this? How do we gauge whether or not we're in alignment? Well, do you know what? We have this beautiful internal GPS system, or maybe let's call it rather than a global positioning system, let's call it a universal positioning system. Your UPS, not your GPS, and that is your emotions. Like, your emotions are giving you feedback to let you know whether you're in alignment. Now, we don't need to go in and analyze, what the emotions actually are. Let's make it really simple. Do you feel good or do you feel bad? Okay, like really simple. Okay, so when you're feeling stressed, you're not in alignment. And if you feel good, if you're feeling enthusiastic, if you're feeling inspired, if you're feeling certain, then you are. Now, I'm not talking about elation and mania and excitement. I'm talking about, do you feel centered? but inspired and enthusiastic. There's a difference between feeling like excited and elated and like, like go, 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 because that's going to have a crash and burn effect. I'm talking about, do you feel centered? Do you just feel certain? Do you have a knowing? That is a really great feedback system to let you know if you're in alignment. And when you take action from that place, crazy cool stuff starts happening. Like, the right people just show up. And this is something that I continuously get from my clients that go on to do my group program. They go, this person just showed up, or we just landed this deal that we've, I had somebody the other day that just said, we've just landed this huge business deal that we've been working on for ages, and it's totally transformed their life. Like, it's worth a big chunk of money, but more importantly, it's really congruent with who they are. And this sort of stuff happens. The right people will just show up when you're in alignment. So I'd like to ask you, what has been your predominant pattern the last few weeks or months or years? Like, are you in a holding pattern where you feel like you're constantly in like that frustration or overwhelm, or the opposite of overwhelm, which is like procrastination, can't get going? Because sometimes when we're in a lull for too long, it does become a pattern. It becomes a pattern, and we have something like 90,000 thoughts a day, and about 70 to 80,000 thoughts that you're going to have today of that 90,000 are exactly the same as the ones that you had yesterday. So there ain't that much new information coming through unless you're consciously aware of it. I know, like, what a crazy statistic. Like, we just keep repeating old patterns. So at this point, I need to ask you, not only are you prepared to do the work around aligning your beliefs and your values, but how willing are you to change? What are you going to need to let go of your current life in order to create a life that you love? Because there will be things that you need to let go. I know for me, my thing that I needed to let go of was watching Netflix. Like, that was my thing. I was like, if I'm going to get where I want to go, I got to stop watching TV. Okay, like that was my thing. It can just be really simple things, but what is it that throws you out of alignment? Understand what this is, and what is it that helps keep you in alignment. Like, get to know your patterns and your behaviors. Okay, because if you have noticed in the last few weeks, months, or years, you have spent more moments feeling frustrated or, feeling bad. Let's just call it feeling bad. Let's not complicate the emotions. If you've spent more time on the, on the lower half of the spectrum than the top half of the spectrum, then book a call. Please book a discovery call so that we can have a chat about how I can help you get back on track. Because it's not about, can I afford to do it? Can I afford the time or the investment? It's really about, can you afford not to do it? That's really the question that you need to ask yourself. Okay, so now about living a life that's on purpose. This is a great checklist. So if you've got a pen and paper handy, please write this down, okay? Because there's one thing that really pisses me off about the personal development industry, because even though I'm in it, I can assure you I've been to a lot of these seminars. In fact, I've invested, for me to get this level of education and understanding, not only have I invested thousands and thousands of hours in my own personal work, I've also invested probably around a couple of $100,000 in this education. So I don't just come from a place of somebody that's just done a weekend workshop and goes, yeah, cool, I've done it. Like, I've invested over the past decade, close to $200,000 knowing this stuff, embodying it, and also then understanding how I can help other people with it. And I've worked with thousands of clients. So I'm pretty certain that this is a solid checklist. Okay. First of all, the step number one, and I know we've talked about this, but I'm just going to reiterate, is that the first step is to really align your beliefs and your values, okay? So that they don't conflict with each other, okay? So that you don't find yourself in, in constant self-doubt, self-depreciation, undermining low self-worth, all of that stuff. So you've really got to align those belief systems. Let's not call it align those belief systems. Let's call it upgrade those belief systems so that they're really congruent with who you are right now and your values, because our values do change over time. Okay, that leads me on to the second point. The second point to live a life on purpose is that you must know your values better than you know anything else in the whole entire world, better than you know your best friend, your partner, your children. And by the way, if you don't know your values well, you can only really understand others to a certain degree. That's going to have a ceiling on it as well, because you'll start to take things that they're doing personally when really it is just a result of them fulfilling their own personal value systems. But we cannot know somebody else's value system to a greater extent than we know our own. And for any mums that are out there as well, oh, this stuff is magic if you've got kids. I've got a 3-year-old son. I can't even imagine what sort of a parent I'd be without this work. Probably a pretty awful one. But, because I find that I can really, understanding your kids' values really gets you to understand them and help guide them in a way that allows them to tap into what's purposeful for them. Imagine having that from a really early age. That's such an amazing gift. So any mums out there or dads, any parents, get to know your values. It can be one of the greatest things that you do as a parent. I truly believe that. I do. Now, understanding your values is also around. Oh, the room service phone's ringing. There's nothing I can do about it. Sorry for the interruption, everyone. We're in Bali. They're not worrying about the do not disturb sign. Okay, so the next thing that we can do is learn the art of clearing stress by asking ourselves a different set of questions. Okay, so you will, for those that do decide to go on to the next, the 8-week program to accelerate your best life, I'm really going to hammer this with you. Okay, we're going to cover all areas of stress, anything that can throw you out of alignment. But one of the greatest and the simplest questions that you can ask yourself when it comes to this is getting present with what it is that's stressing you out, and then asking the question, how is this actually serving me? Like, how is this serving me? Because we're so conditioned to look at just the downside, and they shouldn't have done this and that shouldn't have happened. Well, the reality is if you're going to try and control your external circumstances, that's futile. Has anyone ever tried to control their external circumstances and then find out it just causes you way more stress? I'm sure that you have. I'm sure we've all had that experience. I know that I have. Trying to control your external circumstances is a response to feeling out of control internally, feeling like you don't have any control over the way that you're seeing the world, your perceptions, your reactions, your emotions. So when we're in that position where we're feeling incredibly out of control internally, we will often externally try to control what's going on. It seems like a good idea at the time, but I can assure you it's that's a sinking ship, that one. So it's far wiser to learn the art of learning how to clear your stress, incorporating this into a daily ritual. And it doesn't need to take a lot of time. Nothing that I ever share with my people takes a lot of time. Why? Because I run a business, I study at uni, I'm a mum, I'm a wife, I like to invest time into learning, into my friendships. Like, life is busy. I don't just have time to sit around and self-indulge in journaling for 8 hours a day. Like, and I say this with love, because I've had coaches in the past that have, they haven't had all of these responsibilities, and they've, asked me to do these things, and I'm just thinking, you're living in a completely different world to me. Like, we have busy lives, right? So I'm a massive advocate for making sure that everything that I share with you is easy to incorporate. Like, even these challenges that we've done, it shouldn't, you can take a long time if you want, but hopefully it only took sort of 10 or 15 minutes to do, and that you got massive awareness from doing that as well. Okay, so the next thing is once you understand your values and you've cleared away some of that stress, it's just simply a matter of taking a little bit more time each day doing something that you love. So if right now you're not doing, if life is stressful and you feel like you're just on the treadmill, it can be as simple as just spending 5 minutes a day doing something that you love. And then next week, upping that to 10 minutes, and then upping that to 20 minutes. And I speak from experience, because I know when I very first had my son, and I went from, running my business, doing things that I love, to all of a sudden being completely sleep deprived, just having to, constantly feel like I was feeding or washing or, you know, like those mums out there get it. You understand those first few weeks. But what I noticed is when I wasn't doing things that and by the way, love the kid, didn't love the job description. They're two separate things. So, you know, please, I just want to reiterate that. Love the kid, didn't love the job description. But what I found was because the job description wasn't in my highest values, these weren't things that were fulfilling to me, doing washing and all of that sort of stuff all day. I've actually noticed my self-worth start to take a dive. And it became really evident to me that when we're not doing things that are fulfilling to us on a consistent basis, that undermines our self-worth in itself. So if you're in a job that you hate right now, understand that this is incongruent with you feeling like really good about yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't transition into something, you know, and by the way, I'm not saying that we all need to quit our jobs and, you know, start doing something that we love. Often it can just be a change in perception. Okay, because when I started linking the parts that I didn't love about that to things that were high on my values, my perception and my experience of that changed. So it's not about overhauling your external world. By all means, I'm not suggesting that at all. Often it's about changing the internal meaning. And when we change the internal meaning, we often find that we accelerate towards a future that we love much quicker. Okay, the next thing is after you have spent a little bit more time each day, you know, it doesn't need to be a complete overhaul, just literally five minutes more a day than what you're doing now. And you'll start to notice a difference. The next thing is look at where you're subordinating to outside authorities, okay? And that can be where are you a people pleaser? Are you somebody that's living a life because you think others will approve, because it will make for good Instagram, you know, posts? I don't know. Have a look. Ask yourself these questions. You know, are you living a life that if you never told anyone about it, it still feels truly satisfying and congruent? Or are you doing things to meet other people's expectations of you? When you're subordinating to outside authorities, when you're trying to please others, you will be in chaos. Okay, when you take back control and start living a life that's congruent with you, you'll find that you start to return to a sense of order. I can assure you, living from a place of order is a much more fulfilling, a much nicer place to live than in a state of chaos. Okay, because others are not committed to the fulfillment of your highest values. Write that down. Others are not committed to the fulfillment of my highest values. Nobody actually really cares, other than maybe your mum or maybe your dad, on whether you fulfill your highest values. And even then, if it goes against their highest values, they probably don't want you to do it anyway. So, you know, we do live in a conditional world. Nobody is going to be committed to you living a fulfilling life. It is absolutely up to you. Okay, so when it comes to accelerating your best life, check off that checklist. Are all of those in order for you? Or are there some that you're like, oh, I don't think that I'm quite there yet? Because accelerating towards your best future comes down to having these things in alignment and then just simply taking inspired action each and every day. Now, one of the things that I do each and every morning, one of the action steps that I personally take, and this may be valuable to you, is I've literally got a set of those small cards that you can get from any stationery shop. I have my goals on my vision on the back of my toilet door. So I'm reading it every single morning. Okay, maybe that was an overshare, but anyway, we're all friends now. So I have that on the back of my toilet door. I read that, and then I simply, as I'm getting ready in the morning, I just write down, you know, what are my highest priority steps that I can take today that are going to help me get closer to my dreams. And I make sure that these are things that I love to do. And if it's something that I don't love to do, I find out if I can delegate it to somebody. And if I can't delegate, I ask, how is me actually doing this, fulfilling my highest values? So if I can't delegate it, I learn to love it. And when you operate from that inspired place, now here's the irony, is that when you're in alignment, you'll want to take action. Okay, nobody will need to remind you to take action. Okay, and that's how you know when you're in alignment. So I talk about the accelerate your life, but it is such a small piece of the puzzle. It is such a small piece of the puzzle. So the next thing is check off. when you've got your beliefs in alignment, have a look at your behaviors. Are your behaviors matching up that version, that is in alignment with your vision? And then ask yourself, how willing am I to change? Okay. And I say that because I do sometimes see people get lost in mindset work because, hey, it's fun. You feel like you're doing something, but there is a point where we do need to take action. So just the same as you can't expect to go to the gym once and expect to be buffed, although wouldn't that be nice? You can't expect to just do a couple of days of self-discovery and expect your life to all of a sudden bang be purposeful. You've got to be prepared or be willing to change. And this does take time, which is why we've created the Accelerate Your Best Life program over a matter of a couple of months, so that you've got time to integrate it, see how it fits, iron out any of the details, bounce things off us, get the support that you need, because true change can be challenging. You've got a holding pattern. You've been used to being this way for weeks, months, years, decades. It is going to take support in order to transition to the next level for you. So how much better would your life be right now if you were running these beliefs that were in alignment with your values, and then just committed a little bit more time each day to doing something that was in alignment, that you truly loved, that felt inspiring, that felt on purpose for you? Because it doesn't actually need to be that big to start making a significant difference. So you start with what you know and you let what you know grow. So it's the habit that counts. It is the habit that counts. And by the way, nobody self-sabotages. We simply go back to living in our value systems with our beliefs that sometimes are opposing them. So if knowledge is power, then knowledge about yourself has to be self-empowerment. And if you are serious about this, then you're going to do what it takes, not just what's convenient. Thank you so much, everyone, for being on the 3-day challenge. I've absolutely loved this one. I've loved you being here and sharing this, whether it be live or on the replays. And I really appreciate, especially those that are on the replays, I love getting your emails and your feedback. Also, please feel welcome to post this into the group. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I look forward to, tonight's challenge. Okay, we do have a challenge for today. I almost forgot that. Tonight's challenge, I'd love you to sit down and write down something that you're grateful for, something that you appreciate, and your insights that you've had from the last 3 days. So simply by writing these things down, it allows you to just go a little bit deeper in your life, a little bit deeper, and really understand what it is that you've got out of the past 3 days. Now, please share this into the group. I'd love to see your feedback and love to see what you've taken away. Now, at this point, you might be saying, what's the difference between what am I grateful for and what do I appreciate? Appreciation is the good stuff. Appreciate is the things that are the no-brainers. You appreciate, I appreciate this beautiful villa that I'm sitting in at the moment. I appreciate my family. They're easy things to appreciate. I appreciate all of you showing up to this 3-day challenge. Those things are easy. What you're grateful for is the challenges, the adversity, the things that have been tough, and the things that you've actually worked through. So have a look. Is there anything in your life right now that you can be grateful for? Is there any stressful situation that you can start to ask, how has this served me? To the point where you can start to feel a sense of gratitude that thank goodness that this showed up because it made me who I am. And then insights, I'd love to know your feedback from this week. So please share, I'd love you to share this. And if you could just even jot down a quick testimonial and share that into the group, I would absolutely appreciate that. So as you know, this is a completely free challenge. By now, I'm sure that you would, if you'd stayed with this and actually done the exercises, would you agree that this would, you would have easily paid a couple $100 for this, no problems, because it is valuable. I provide it for free because all I ask of you is that if you love it, share it with your friends. It's that simple. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's been an amazing 3 days. And I look forward to speaking to some of you in the next week or so. Okay, take care, everyone.